Today on the program, we'll see why everyone hates the new electric Ferrari, Lancia. The former DS could disappear, which hasn't stopped the Italian brand from presenting its new Gamma today. And Renault, Mercedes, and Volkswagen are now moving towards weapons manufacturing. Before we start this video, you might be paying 480 euros more per year for your car insurance than you actually could be paying. What's surprising is that in France, more than 1 out of 2 drivers never change their insurance, not by choice, but because it's often complicated, comparing offers, filling out forms, making endless phone calls. As a result, many people keep paying full price when they could be saving up to 40 euros a month. We decided we had to simplify this. With our free car insurance comparison tool, in 2 minutes, you get the best offers, with no commitment, no spam, and sometimes more than 40 euros in savings each month. That's over 450 euros in savings per year, enough to pay for a few meals or a nice little weekend trip by car. So if you have a car, or if you want to change it, try it now. It's free, fast, and if you find a better offer, it's all upside. You'll find the link to our free no-obligation comparison tool in the description or in the first pinned comment. A tragic event took place last night in Rome. Ferrari unveiled the Luciole, the first 100% electric Ferrari. And honestly, we almost hope it's a fake. Unveiled last night at 10:10 p.m., the internet quickly reacted. Everyone thinks it's ugly. But let's be clear, the Luciole isn't fundamentally bad. If it were a Xiaomi at 80,000 euros, we'd be applauding it tomorrow. But here, we're talking about a Ferrari sold for 600,000 euros. At that price, you expect a work of art, not a clumsy sedan derived from a Prius. Let's discuss its windshield wipers. Positioned vertically on the windshield sides, they're badly integrated. Seriously, even Seat, with its Alti minivan in 2004, which used the same mechanism, did it better. At 600,000 euros, you could have imagined a revolutionary ultrasonic blower system to get rid of the rain, not bits of plastic stuck right in your face. Ferrari will tell us that this design is there to achieve exceptional aerodynamics, except the drag coefficient is 0.25. That's a very good score, except that a Tesla Model S, designed almost 20 years ago, has a drag coefficient of 0.20. But the real problem with the Luce isn't its unattractive looks, it's its soul. This car wasn't designed by car enthusiasts in Maranello. It was designed in San Francisco by Love From, the studio of Jony Ive, the guy who designed the iPhone and the Apple Watch. By the way, the presentation was full of tech journalists while most of the real automotive press was politely kept away. The Luce isn't aimed at car enthusiasts, it's aimed at wealthy geeks who want the latest trendy gadget. Inside, it's like an Apple store with leather, a steering wheel made of recycled aluminum, an OLED screen, Corning Gorilla Glass, and a glass key with a screen that turns yellow when you insert it. It's beautiful, it's minimalist, it's packed with Italian leather and Alcantara, and there's even a 3,000-watt sound system with 21 speakers. But it looks more like a massage lounge for a Silicon Valley influencer than a Ferrari. And what about the mechanical side, you might ask? Well, it's an overweight monster, 2,260 kilos on the scale. To propel this beast, Ferrari has installed 4 electric motors, 1 per wheel, which produce a crazy total of 1,050 horsepower. 0 to 100 is done in 2.5 seconds with a top speed of 310 km/h. But let's come back down to earth for a moment. For 1/6 of the price, a Xiaomi Y7 GT SUV does just as well. And for 1/10 of the price, a Tesla Model 3 Performance does almost the same thing. As for the range with its huge 122 kilowatt-hour battery, the Luce tops out at 530 kilometers on the WLTP cycle. And at more than €500,000 for the same price, you could almost buy 3 Ferrari Amalfi V8 Biturbo with 640 horsepower 3 real Ferraris that make noise. Let's discuss the sound. To mask the silence of the electric motor, Ferrari created a system that captures and amplifies motor vibrations, like an electric guitar. And for those thinking about their investment portfolios, know that Ferrari lost 6 on the stock market this morning following the presentation of the Luce. In the end, between the Mercedes-AMG GT, which looks like a frog with fans, the future Jaguar Type 01, which is starting to look like an electric razor, and now this Ferrari Luciole. You start to wonder if it's a conspiracy. What if all this was just a huge strategy? What if the manufacturers had agreed to make electric cars so ugly, so expensive, and so soulless, just to prove to European leaders that they don't sell, just so they'd finally let them make real combustion engines again? Give me your thoughts in the comments. Next, Stellantis, this gigantic automotive empire, is cynically orchestrating the slow and painful demise of two brands, DS Automobiles and Lancia. Let's start from the beginning. Antonio Filosa, the head of the group, stated that Fiat and Lancia would work together again, just like in the glorious days of Lancia, as he said. Lancia is becoming a specialized brand under the direct control of Fiat. In other words, Lancia is now just a high-end trim for dressed-up Fiats, and for DS, it's exactly the same tragedy, but with a beret and a baguette. 12 years after leaving Citroën to strike out on its own and become the French answer to Audi and BMW, DS is quietly returning to its parent company's fold. Independence is over. DS has been downgraded. But why not just finish them off with a bullet to the back of the head? Why not just close up shop and move on just because? Filosa pulled out his calculator. Shutting down a brand costs a fortune. You have to compensate the dealers, absorb the losses from models in development, and above all, manage the damage to the brand's image. Yet for DS, the original idea was noble, French-style luxury, but the result was an absolute disaster. The DS3 Crossback, for example, which was supposed to compete with Mini, was just a disguised Peugeot 208 sold at a higher price, but with less equipment. And the current numbers are catastrophic. 40,000 vehicles sold worldwide in 2024, and a dizzying 22% drop in 2025. DS's premium image sounds desperately hollow because underneath the beautiful bodywork, you find the same 1.2 PureTech engines and the same chassis as in an ordinary Citroën C3. And for Lancia, Stellantis decided to resurrect a ghost with the budget of a village fair. The brand only existed in Italy since 2012, selling the Ypsilon, an aging small city car, to nostalgic retirees. And then, stroke of genius, they launch a new Ypsilon in 2024, which is nothing more than a reskinned Peugeot 208 or Opel Corsa. They keep everything the same, add a bit of Alcantara, and ask customers to pay 30,000 euros. The result? Barely 11,700 cars sold in 2025. Premium buyers aren't stupid. When they buy a BMW, they're paying for a unique driving experience. When they buy an Audi, they're paying for cutting-edge technology. When they buy a DS or a Lancia, what exactly are they paying for? That's the problem. Stellantis' Fastlane 2030 plan is clear. 70% of investments will go to profitable brands like Jeep, Ram, Peugeot, and Fiat. The others will get the leftovers. DS goes back to Citroën, a brand now repositioned to compete with Dacia, and Lancia goes back to Fiat, with the almost certain abandonment of the legendary Delta. In fact, Lancia has just unveiled its new secret weapon meant to win back Europe, the Lancia Gamma. But be careful, don't get too excited. If you were hoping for a bold, large sedan like the Gamma from the 1970s, you're going to be disappointed. What Lancia is offering us today is an SUV, yet another one, a premium fastback crossover that's 4.67 meters long. It's the magic solution of the modern industry. You have a problem? Make an SUV. You want to revive a strong brand? Make an SUV. You have a stomach bug? Make an SUV. Lancia swears to us, hand on heart, that this Gamma is the embodiment of Italian elegance. It was designed in Italy. It will be manufactured in Melfi, Italy, but beneath that bodywork, which let's admit is actually pretty good, is Stellantis' STLA medium platform. It's exactly the same platform as the Peugeot 3008 and the new DS number 7. And by the way, if you look at the profile of the Gamma, with its sloping roof and its hidden rear door handles, it's simply a DS number 7. Inside, it's the usual spot the difference game. The dashboard and panoramic screen are clearly from the shared parts bin. Lancia did try to cover it up with upscale materials like Alcantara, leather, and its famous tavola, that little round coffee table in the middle of the center console, but it's still a DS number 7. Under the hood, you'll find, unsurprisingly, the 1.2-liter mild hybrid with 145 horsepower and, of course, an electric version. 3 power levels, 230, 245 with a large 97 kilowatt-hour battery to exceed 700 kilometers of range, and even an all-wheel drive version with 375 horsepower. So, with a starting price that should be around 65,000 euros for this new SUV, the question is simple: who is going to buy this? Stellantis wants us to believe the European market can support 2 premium brands from the same group, offering identical cars in the same segment and price. DS has been struggling for 10 years to compete with Audi, BMW, and Mercedes, and now Lancia is arriving, all starry-eyed, hoping to attract customers from the Tesla Model Y or the BMW iX1. But selling premium means selling a story, exclusivity, unique engineering. Here they're selling us industrial cloning, very nicely packaged of course, but that's probably not going to be enough. Orders are expected to open after the summer. And finally, the European automotive industry, which spends most of its time whining about the electric transition and the nasty Chinese competition, has just found a new toy, the arms industry. So, should we be worried about this? To understand everything, let's take Mercedes as an example. Ola Källenius, the big boss, recently gave an interview to the Wall Street Journal. With the composure of a movie villain, he stated that the world had become unpredictable and that Europe needed to strengthen itself militarily. His conclusion: if Mercedes can make money by manufacturing weapons, Mercedes will manufacture weapons. Of course, they tell us it will be a niche market. But the Germans aren't the only ones playing soldiers. In France, Renault has decided to get involved as well. The Diamond brand has partnered with Turgis Gaillard to assemble Chorus military drones in their factory in Le Mans. These drones are capable of carrying 500 kilos of explosives over 3,000 kilometers. Renault plans to produce up to 600 of them per month. And then there's Volkswagen. The giant from Wolfsburg, entangled in its underused factories and declining sales, is in very serious talks with Rafael, the Israeli defense company. The goal is to convert the Osnabrück factory, which currently assembles the uninspiring Tyrock convertible, a car that frankly deserves to be destroyed by a missile, by the way, to manufacture components for the Iron Dome, heavy trucks, generators, and launchers. So why this sudden passion for gunpowder? It's simple: money and desperation. On one hand, you have a European automotive industry in the midst of an existential crisis. Electric cars cost a fortune to develop. The Chinese are arriving with cheaper and better equipped models, and European factories are running at low capacity. On the other hand, you have the defense sector. The Stockholm International Peace Research Institute has just published its figures for 2025. Global military spending has nearly reached $2.9 trillion. In Europe, it jumped by 14%. Germany has exceeded 2% of its GDP allocated to defense. Spain has increased its budget by 50%. Arms dealers' order books are full and they can't keep up with demand. That's where the automotive industry steps in. Building a modern car means assembling thousands of complex parts, managing global supply chains, and keeping costs low. Building a drone or missile launcher is essentially the same, just with more explosives and fewer cup holders. So should we be worried about it? From a purely pragmatic point of view, it's brilliant. It's industrial recycling at its finest. But from a moral standpoint, it's chilling. Car manufacturers spend their time selling us concepts of eco-friendly mobility, sustainable development, and carbon neutrality. And in the back room, they're getting ready to assemble death machines to save their profit margin. So is the European automotive industry going to become the arms industry of tomorrow? Give me your thoughts in the comments. Thank you all for watching this new video. Don't hesitate to subscribe and turn on the notification bell to make sure you don't miss anything. Ciao